So, welcome to a special edition of Movie Discussion. We haven't done one in a while. I got Tom here, and it's a special day today. It is Friday the 13th, May 13th. Happens to be a Friday. Jason Voorhees' birthday. Also, the day he decides to murder everybody.
Yes.
I got a question about that. Okay, so they call it Friday the 13th. Is it because it's his birthday, or is it when the events took place of the original movie?
You know, they don't say specifically that it's both or one or the other. They do say in the original film a line from the actress that plays Mrs. Voorhees, Jason's mother. She says, my little boy, his name was Jason, and today is his birthday. And she says that, and it's a great line because it's as she's revealing to the final girl, the one who does this battle with her at the end, as she's revealing a very dark secret to her. And everyone begins to find something out at that point about Mrs. Voorhees and Friday the 13th. So we know that it's his birthday. We don't know if that's supposed to be the date that it takes place, but I think it is because there's some mention at the beginning of the film with some text. So I think it's supposed to take place on Friday the 13th as well.
Yeah. So the original movie, if you guys haven't seen it, we're just going to spoil the hell out of this, okay? So if you expect us to not, just turn it off right now and just go to another movie or something, or show. Watch one of the gamers stuff. Anyways, that has spoilers too, so you're screwed. Anyway, the original movie, she is, it's alluding that there's a murderer out there and you don't know who it is. And then at the very end, you find out it's Jason Voorhees' mom that's doing all the killing. Like, is this from the original movie here?
Yes, this is one of the victims from the first...
So she saw...
yes.
She saw the mom right before she got struck with that axe right in her face. Happens to be what the... this is the frontal lobe here,
It's her head.
It's her head. But you see how expressionless. Well, here's Kevin Bacon, one of his first roles. Oh, he's just got an arrow through the neck.
The throat.
Now, is this one this is the first one or the second one?
This is the first one.
Okay, it is. So it's which actually I'm really surprised with this one because you could see her hand right there holding down his head.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a dead giveaway. Like this is not. Some monster. That's an old lady cuff, you know?
It is.
And to me, I'm really surprised that the superhuman strength that she has to hold down his head and drive an arrow through a mattress and then through somebody's spinal cord and then finally neck. I mean, you don't know what's...
No.
I mean, that's a lot of stuff back there.
It's pretty weird that an older woman would be able to do that.
Maybe that's where Jason gets his...
From his mom.
Powers.
From Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just really interested that the title Friday the 13th. Now, did Friday the 13th, was that a bad omen before the movie?
It was. Friday the 13th has had some connections to bad luck in Western culture for quite a while.
Oh, these guys have terrible luck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just
Jason, on the other hand, has fantastic luck.
Really the best luck.
He's got the best luck.
Survived being drowned in a lake and being almost killed over and over again. So
well, he essentially does die.
Yeah, that's something that when they created the first film,
right,
the intention wasn't to have sequels.
Right.
They were going to tell a story, and then they were thinking maybe later on they'd just do different stories for sequels, and it would be like an anthology. It would be called Friday the 13th, and they would just do different stories.
Right.
So, as the story goes, and we just talked about this, Mrs. Voorhees is the killer, as she reveals towards the end. And the final girl who survives the battle with Mrs. Voorhees has this dream where she gets into a canoe and just kind of sails into Crystal Lake to finally rest, and then at the end, an undead Jason, a very young one, comes out of the lake because he was supposed to have drowned there. She wakes up in the hospital with the police. So it was never intended that he was really supposed to come back to life, but they decided to run with it, and that's how the rest of the series came down.
When I first saw that, we went to the there was a Beartooth showing, and they were showing Friday the 13th on Friday the 13th, and this is the first time I saw Friday the 13th, the original, and now we showed up fully decked out and ready to just destroy that old movie. But anyways, the end actually scared the hell out of me. I was like, whoa, holy crap. I did not expect it. They built it up really well.
They did.
And that was, they actually did a really decent makeup job on Jason at that point. And the movie itself, it's actually pretty good. I did like it. They had some good cinematography. They remastered it, I think, recently, didn't they? I thought they went back in and kind of
they might have
made some cuts tighter or just something about it. They really maybe they took out the shakiness or something, because I think that back then they were just it was almost filmed on a handheld. But I can't believe how iconic this movie is. And it was made, what year? What was it,
1980 was the first one.
1980? 36 years ago? Holy crap. And it still holds up really well, I think.
It does.
Especially that last scene. I was really floored by it. And this is where we always agree with something that CGI cannot beat. This is something that absolutely CGI cannot ever reproduce, is that kind of effect. And it was such a clear but fuzzy and blurry image of, it was just so horrific. It just looked really good. It was really well done. I really liked it. So we have okay, what was that? I was going somewhere with something. I forgot. Whatever. Let's talk about the characters.
Okay. So the characters, every movie, there's different characters that come in, except for Jason Voorhees. He's kind of the reoccurring character, the antagonist of the films. And the characters usually are a group of people who find themselves coming to Camp Crystal Lake. It's a place out in the woods. They never say what state in the U.S. that it's supposed to take place in. But they're usually young people coming to work on the camp or be some kind of camp counselors preparing the camp, and usually some law enforcement people that end up showing up as things get crazy.
Now, that makes me curious. So you have Camp Crystal Lake, who receives essentially a regular supply of counselors, and there's no mention of you would think that one incident of everybody being dead, butchered, and slaughtered, or missing. Were they missing, or did they find the body? Oh, they never found bodies.
Well,
people went missing,
some of the bodies. I think most of the bodies they found.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought that it was a mystery because he had cleaned up really well. Because after he got, I thought that he cleaned them all up or something.
No, I think they found most of the bodies
in the first one. Mm-hmm. Well, the first one was the mom, so okay.
Yeah.
But the second one was definitely Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by that time, were they talking about setting up camp or?
Yeah, it basically from the first film they were just preparing the camp because the kind of ghost story about Jason drowning and the two camp counselors being killed around the time he drowned, that had already been circulating because they were already referring to it as Camp Blood in the first movie. That was the nickname used by the locals.
Yeah.
So then when the second movie comes around, again, more people were in this area preparing the camp area and talking around the campfire, of course, is always about the stories about the murders that had happened. And then they added the new facet, which is that some people thought Jason was still alive. And so in part 2, Jason Voorhees himself is actually committing the murders.
I really liked his costume in part 2. Or was it part 3? Which does he's just got the sack over his head in part 2, right?
Yeah, part 2 they decided they were going to try a sack with one eye hole cut out, which of course you wouldn't find out later on, but that was because of Jason's physical disabilities.
Well, you find him in the first one. You see him all grotesque. I mean, people maybe forgot, by the second time. But when does he find the mask? Is that in part 3?
Yeah, he finds a hockey mask in part 3, and he puts that on, and that became what Jason Voorhees is known for, and what Friday the 13th is known for. It's actually a mold of an old Detroit Red Wings hockey mask, a goalie mask, and they just made a bigger one. And they were doing lighting tests, and they needed someone to put on a mask because the makeup people did not do makeup for a light test. So they said, put this mask on and we'll do our lighting test. And they liked it so much, they decided to have the guy playing Jason for part 3 keep the mask on.
Yeah. I think it was a good decision. It's such an iconic look. Everybody knows who Jason Voorhees is. I mean, you can't mistake him. I mean, maybe the younger generation doesn't, but maybe they do. I don't know. The third movie was 3D.
Yes,
I think it was called Friday the 13th,
Part 3.
Part 3, or is it 3D?
It was
in 3D or something like that. But it was definitely 3D gimmicky, and they had so many scenes just for the 3D popping, holy cow, wow. They had one where, what was it, like an eyeball?
An eyeball
popped out
and stopped.
And it just stopped and
right
dangled there for a while. And there's another guy with a pole or something. And it was so, I don't know. It was obvious that it was such a gimmicky thing. It was great. I mean, at the same time. I wish that they did that with the intention of being that kind of cheesy, corny.
Yeah.
I think they were actually trying to really impress people, but I don't know, maybe not. Who knows? Who really knows? But it is funny, especially when you watch it in 2D, because it becomes very apparent. There's just an eyeball floating. And I think you could see the string that it traveled on.
Yeah.
Or the wire that it traveled on. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It was good stuff. The characters they're all generally, they start to be very cliche. They weren't kind of in the beginning. In the beginning, the first one, they were all super weird and kooky. There's one in particular that I seem to recall. He's just a weirdo.
The old man.
I remember the old man. No. I think he was younger. One of the counselor guys. He was just lonely or something. I think he was the one that was either in the kitchen. Who was in the kitchen, trying to light a fire or a lantern or something? And he just looked like he didn't know what he was doing.
I don't know. I'm not sure which one that was.
I forgot. I mean, I obviously don't know the
But
name.
he was strange.
He's just a strange guy. And then as the movies progressed, they definitely became cliche, and you almost hated them immediately. Every single one. You're like, they need to die.
I agree. I think they made that progression from the first film where you weren't completely offended by the characters.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of sympathy, because they just seemed like somewhat innocent people.
Well, maybe back in the 80s they were kind of weird. Whoa, dude, yeah.
But you're right, though. As the films progressed, you're kind of like, gosh, I can't wait till that guy gets it.
He's asking for it, man. Yeah. So we have how Jason changed. So he went from being mom to the sack over his head to the mask, and then what was the fourth one?
Well, he still had the hockey mask.
Yeah, but what was the fourth one called?
The fourth one was Friday the 13th. I think it was the final chapter. It was supposed to be the final chapter.
Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, was he? No, he wasn't in New York, right? Or was he?
No, that was later
that was,
on.
Okay.
That was Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was Part 8, I want to
Yeah,
say.
there is a good scene in that I really like. I don't remember seeing the fourth one. Mm-hmm. Maybe I did, but... And then the fifth one is it... He Goes to Hell?
No, Jason Goes to Hell, I want to say was part 9, I think. The fifth one was called Friday the 13th, and I think it was... I can't remember the subtitle, but what it was is Jason Voorhees himself wasn't actually in the movie. Now, there's a character who's...
I remember that.
Someone was impersonating
terrible.
Jason, and there is a reoccurring character. Okay, so from part 4...
He didn't get possessed or anything by his... That Goes to Hell.
Yeah, that's
That's
Jason Goes to Hell.
also another one where Jason does not actually appear.
Well, no, Jason is in there. He's just taking over people's
Right, but I'm just
bodies.
saying he's not actually like Jason with the mask. And
Well, no, he is.
Is
he?
he?
Is in there. He is, yeah. So, but...
Maybe I'm thinking of that other one then. I didn't like Jason Goes to Hell, and I didn't like the other one that you're talking about.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Part 5 was not great, but there was a reoccurring character in Part 5. His name is Tommy, and he appears as a boy in Part 4, and he's played by Corey Feldman, actually. That was one of his early roles. And then he's like an adult in Part 5, and he's kind of the hero of that film. And someone's impersonating Jason. It's really freaking him out because he had these horrible traumas of surviving Crystal Lake when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And then part 5, they find out it's someone impersonating Jason. Jason's not actually alive. But part 6, Jason comes back.
Come to find out.
Jason lives.
So Jason Goes to Hell was awful. Jason X.
Yep.
What's that one?
That was Jason in Space in the Future.
So I always want to say it's Jason in Space.
And I think
I never say Jason X.
A lot of people call it Jason
So when
in
somebody
Space.
says Jason X, I'm like, what are you talking? Jason in Space. Mm-hmm. I love Jason in Space.
Jason in Space was,
I loved it.
It was, I enjoyed it too. It was one of the lower budget Friday the 13th, but it was pretty funny in a lot of ways. And it was one of the Friday the 13th that made fun of itself. There was some moments where they clearly were making fun of the series of films.
There is one, the first, when he comes back and grabs that first girl, he is just like all over her. He's got her head, and his mouth covered, but like his other arm is just like all over the place. I don't know
what he was doing. Yeah,
he's like trying to take off her shirt, but like not. But like it was so weird. And I'm like, what's going on with this guy? And then finally dips her head into the Kool-Aid,
the liquid nitrogen,
and busts it.
Yeah,
I like the scene where he's hallucinating, and it's two cheerleaders, and they're like either like making fun of somebody or like, hey, Jason, over here, or something like that. And then the very next scene, you see him banging. He has one cheerleader stuffed inside of a sleeping bag, and hitting this other cheerleader stuffed inside of another cheerleader.
And then he swings it into a tree.
Yeah,
it's like brutal.
He's just like crushing them in the sleeping bag. It's so funny.
That was a good scene.
I laughed so hard. That was so good.
I think that got everybody. That was.
I really enjoyed Jason's Space. That was Jason X.
Jason X. Yeah. It was.
And then it got serious, and I'm just gonna flip on this little movie here for us. And this is Freddy versus Jason, and I'm just gonna keep it rolling here. I don't know if it's too loud or not. Let me make sure it's not. I'm fine with that. Stop audio. I think that's good. Yeah, we're gonna be good. So, Jason or Freddy versus Jason had, I think, some of the coolest fights that I've seen, and it was actually cinematographically. I don't know how to say that word. Cinematically.
I never asked for anything. Just turn on the fucking
Cinemagraphically.
Cinematically, very beautiful. It was actually really well done.
It was, and you can tell they had a good production value. They actually invested some money in it, and they made it look very, very good as a film. One thing I liked about it, it's something that they decided to take two movie monsters and pit them against each other, which is something they used to do in the 1940s. The Universal films used to do. They had Frankenstein versus the Wolfman, or House of Dracula, where there were other monsters involved, or even Abbott and Costello versus Frankenstein had Dracula and the Wolfman fighting each other, and they hadn't done something like this in a really long time.
And I thought it was really cool that it was both characters are immortal. Mm-hmm. And so one of my favorite scenes is when Jason is standing out on a pier and looking for Freddy because he had tossed him into the water or something, and Freddy just jumps like 30 feet up in the air out of the water, and in slow motion, he's like. It just looked like a superhero movie kind of battle, but it was really cool. It was like everything was slow motion kind of. It looked neat. At least I think it was at slow motion.
It was. It had a little Matrix effect.
Yeah,
to
it really
almost.
did. It was really, really well done. And this didn't come out after the Matrix, right? I think it came out before.
I'm not sure. Maybe around the same time, maybe.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I don't think they were ripping them off or anything.
No.
I think it was just good cinematography. Yeah. So I thought it was great. And then one line in particular was when Freddy is inside the dream with Jason, and Jason is getting his ass handed to him, but he won't die. And I thought it was really cool that Freddy's like, "Why won't you die?"
Yeah, they couldn't kill each other.
Yeah, and I thought that was great, and you could see that he's really, really frustrated with that. I thought it was great.
Yeah, Freddy vs. Jason, I think, was a good film in the series, and it was kind of it was both a Friday the 13th and a Nightmare on Elm Street. Kind of, it's kind of both of their movies. So,
and they both survived at the end.
Yeah,
and you don't know who won, and I thought that was also very cool. They did what you got? Jason versus Others.
Well, yeah, and that's just really in terms of comparing Jason to some of the other famous monsters in contemporary horror films. Jason is certainly kind of similar to Michael Myers from the Halloween films, because Friday the 13th actually got made because Halloween, which was made 2 years before, was so popular.
Yeah.
And then
and somehow it just took off a lot more. I think the imagery was a little better. Michael Myers, the mask is creepy, but it's just not menacing.
Yeah, it's more creepy than it is menacing.
Yeah. I would be more scared of Michael Myers molesting me than murdering me.
Yeah,
grotesque,
Yeah,
that's what I'm like. Oh, great! Michael Myers snuck into my bedroom. Okay, here we go. Whereas if it was Jason, I'd be like, holy crap! Yeah, he's gonna take me to hell. That's I'm dead.
Well, at least drink your juice.
Yeah, there was I don't think there's, especially when in the third one, it is my favorite costume. It's really the third one and the newest Friday the 13th that are my favorite. He has like a leather. No, it's not like a leather coat, but it's like this really cool jacket that's kind of down.
Yeah, it's almost like either a jacket or almost a very thick either blue or green shirt, depending on what film, what copy of the film you're watching. Sometimes it looks blue, sometimes it looks green, but
it's like almost a military solid color, like from back from like World War, like Vietnam, I'd say actually, but it's like thicker and is not as flexible. And I thought that was really cool. And then he was just wearing straight khakis. He's business professional, and just boots. And I thought it was good costume design. And the guy was pretty stocky that they got. And I like that. The second one, I don't think that he was as stocky. He was kind of a shrimpier, lankier guy.
He was. They did some interesting costume changes. In the second film, And Jason was actually wearing bib overalls
Yeah.
and like a plaid shirt. I mean, they basically made him look like a farmer.
Yeah,
They just lost
awful,
it.
Yeah.
And then he had the sack over his head, and in the third one, he looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you going to be able to bring in anything we reference in terms of some of these changes later on?
Oh no.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
What we got is what we got going on right now.
all right. And right now, this is a reminder. This is Jason versus Freddy that's running behind us. So, but yeah, they did some interesting costume changes for Jason. The biggest changes being the second and the third one, and then actually even Jason X or Jason 10, which is Jason in space, he got just blown to pieces,
Yeah.
and rebuilt by nanotechnology. So he again looked completely different almost.
I didn't mind the look, but yeah, his mask wasn't no longer a hockey mask. It was like a thing.
Yeah.
A metal mask or something, which I didn't mind. I thought it was okay, but I still prefer the old one. I really like how Jason X explained why Jason kept coming back and back. They actually had like, look at these cells, they're incredible, they're regenerating themselves, you know. And then as she's looking through this, you know, he's like rises
comes back
up,
to
you know.
life.
Yeah, it was great. And I like that in movies when they just like, here's what's happening, you know. That's why it's impossible to kill him.